Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. All right now, listen everybody. Black women ought to know by now that black men on social media platforms need to be vetted because they are not to be trusted. Black men, serious black men, have jobs that they go to every day. They don't have time to sit up on social media platforms talking about women. If they do, they are basically no better than what I call cyber pimps. That goes for the men in the manosphere, the red pill, the save yourself black men, all of these men that are on these social media platforms making a living, trying to make money, begging for money by sitting up talking about demeaning and degrading black women are nothing but pimps. Now, back in the day, a pimp was a man who got himself a stable of women, put them out on the streets, selling their body for money, and he took the money. That's what we call a pimp. Well, now that kind of pimping has gone out of style. But you still got these men who don't want to go out and get a job, just like regular men do. They don't want to work. Some of them got records. Some of them been to jail. And some of them were just sorry. They just don't want to work. So they've decided that I'm going to get me a podcast, and we're going to start just talking about stuff. Well, most of them don't have enough intelligence. They don't have enough content. They don't have enough grasp of facts and information and social events to keep an entertaining platform going. So they resort back to the tried and true, talking about women. Now, these two exemplify what I just described. They are based in London. Their names are James and Fuhard or something, and I don't know which one is which, and it doesn't matter. But they did that. They got a social media platform, and they got themselves some subscribers, and they had a thriving podcast based on what the women were saying. So they get built up by black women primarily because remember, black men don't watch these things except other black men who are sitting up on social media talking about women. Other black men have other stuff to do. But anyway, they built a platform based on what the people are saying. Now all of a sudden they want to go mainstream. Everybody want to go mainstream. I don't even know what that means. That is not even like ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, or Fox Entertainment, or anybody like that is going to give these men a show. They just won't. BET won't even give them one. But they are always talking about going mainstream. So what they did was, the first thing they did was came to the United States, and somebody in the United States had them on a podcast. Some black women, always gullible for being mistreated. And then they went back to London, wherever they live, and said they had been to Atlanta, and Atlanta didn't have any hotties. Now, hotties is a term that black Americans started using to define good-looking black women. So now they came to Atlanta. I don't know how many days they stayed there, but they didn't see any hotties based on what they call hotties. So I guess they saw all of the women in Atlanta, all of the black women, and they decided there were no attractive black women in Atlanta. Now take a good look at them. So anyway, that was the first thing. And then they went on a podcast of somebody named Andrew Schultz. I believe that was his name. And this white people dogged them out because that's white people already know black people. They know how desperate you are, and they know black people, these kind of black people, not all, these kind of black people will pretty much do anything for money. So this guy, Andrew Schultz, had them on his podcast solely for the purpose of making a fool out of them in front of other white people and maybe some black people. But that was the only reason they did that. But anyway, this white man, who everybody says is a racist, sat up and talked about them and went on and on about them. And then they went into black women, talking about black women being violent. Who are all these violent black women? I don't know any violent black women. I've been a black woman for a long time. I don't know any black woman that goes around slapping and fighting everybody and always fighting. I don't know any black women like that, young or old. So this white man just sat up there and flat out lied on black women, and he doesn't know anything about black women. He's not married to a black woman. His mother is not black. He doesn't have any black sisters. So where did he get all of this information about black women? So this white man said so many awful things about black women that black women got mad that they sat up there and let that man tell all those lies about black women, and they said nothing to defend black women. And so they went in on these two guys, and then they called themselves trying to apologize. Well, after they apologized to black women for letting this white man sit up there and talk about black women in a derogatory manner, and then the white man came back and poked fun at their apology. And the white man said that at the end of the clip, they asked him to take out some of the embarrassing things that he had said about black men, about them. But they didn't ask him to take out the negative things that he had said about black women. So busted. The white man came right out and busted them, which is what he was always going to do. So Ryan Clark, a former football player and one of the features on the podcast Pivot, responded to these guys and this Andrew Schultz person. And I thought it was so compelling that I wanted to share it with you if you haven't heard it.
The first thing is, when you think about the two podcasters from the UK, is we don't know if the black experience there is the same as the black experience for African Americans or black people that grew up in America. I'm sure to be on this media tour in the US and to sit with Andrew Schultz was a big thing for them. I don't care if it was a big thing. And in addressing Andrew Schultz, who I do think is funny, who sits with Charlemagne and has some of these discussions about the culture, I believe he got too comfortable. So I would like to explain some things to him. I want to explain to him the black experience, the black woman experience from my point of view. It was watching my mother start from a bank teller and work her way up for decades to run her own collateral department, only to be mistreated when the bank was sold to another bank, and be so sick on Sunday that I finally had to say, hey, Mom, you're old enough to retire. It was to see her go to that same job, 8 to 5, to be treated anyway that she had to be treated because she only had a high school diploma, and then find ways to not only feed me, but do homework with me and my brother, take us to practice because my dad worked 3 jobs. That was the first black woman experience that I had. Right. The second black woman experience I had is marrying a black woman and watching her sleep on my cot as doctors try to figure out why I'm 140 pounds and I'm a 30-year-old man who was 205 pounds a month before that. Her telling me months after that she would just go in the bathroom and cry every night in the hospital because she didn't want me to worry about her because I was so sick. Right? For her to hold my family together so I could be in the household with my children when I was doing things and I wasn't shit. That's the black woman experience. The black woman experience is black women caring so much about the nuclear black family, black women taking care of young black men to teach them how to be leaders, to teach them how to be strong, to teach them how to care about their God, about their family, and it's about their communities. And to raise their young black women to be independent enough to take care of themselves, but to understand how to support a family, how to support a man, while also understanding how to get it on your own. That's the black woman experience that I know. The reason that black women are tough is because when you're mistreated in the way that black women are, if you're not tough, you just die off, you don't survive. That's the black woman experience. And the other piece of it is too, is something that I've learned, and I learned it from black women, is people feel so comfortable disrespecting them because we don't respect them publicly, right? White people for so long have used the excuse, why can't I say the N-word when you say that to yourselves or call yourself that or use that in your music, which is bullshit, right? Or white people have said, if you're using the B word, or they say, if you're using the B word, why can't I call them that? That's bullshit as well, right? That's excuses to be certain things and be disrespectful when you shouldn't be. So when you're sitting across from Andrew Schultz and he's talking about an experience that he can't understand because his wife is not black, you don't have the right to talk about that. You don't have the right to speak on something that you don't know, right? And to make a joke about what the experience is one thing if you're talking about haircuts and you're talking about clothing and you're talking about beards, or you're comparing what our friend Travis Kelce looked like when he was with Kayla Nicole to what he looks like now that he's with Taylor Swift, right? That is part of it. You start to assimilate to the people around you. What you're not going to do, though, is be disrespectful and say you have to develop a defense mechanism because of alleged violence. Black women aren't violent. Black women don't just walk around to beat people or to be angry or to be treated a certain way. No, black women, to me, were the entire front line of the Alton Sterling protests when he died, when he was killed by cops in Louisiana. Black women are on the front lines of everything that's about us. Black women understood that they had to take a back seat because as we were fighting for rights in our country, that we as men were going to be able to get through the door before they were. So they decided to push us forward and give us ideas and give us help and give us support and be our biggest cheerleaders because they knew we'll have an opportunity to get in the door first. The problem is so many times now we're getting in those doors and we aren't reaching back and bringing them through that same door with us. And this is just another example of that. So whoever is Andrew Schultz's black friend, Charlemagne, you're his black friend, sit him down, talk to him, tell him what the black woman experience truly is, because he ain't married to one and he's obviously never been around enough of them to know how strong, how beautiful, how independent they could be while also being supportive, how much black women have done to create this entire world that we all live in and the way that they've poured in it. I'd rather be upset, but I know if I'm upset and I'm loud, that just plays into the same angry black woman trope to the black man trope that he wants us to depict. And I refuse to give him that joy.
So this was very powerful and just not enough of them in our community. And these cyber pimps will go around calling a black man like this some kind of name because he's man enough to know how to treat people and be in a relationship with a black woman without out here bragging about going 50-50. We just need more men like this. Okay, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about the video. Give me a like and have a good evening.